What happens when faith meets pain? When the deepest longing of the heart becomes a cry of the soul, a desperate search for something only God can fulfill. The story of Hannah, told in the opening chapters of 1 Samuel, is exactly that. More than just the dream of becoming a mother, her journey reveals how God can turn the driest places in our lives into overflowing sources of blessing. Stay with me until the end of this video, because you're about to discover hidden truths within this emotional, surprising, and deeply faithful narrative. And if you love powerful Bible stories that touch the heart, make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so you don't miss the next one. Hannah lived during one of the most unstable periods in Israel's history, the transition from the era of judges to the era of kings. She was married to Elkanah, a man who loved God and loved her deeply, but there was a wound that marked their marriage. Hannah couldn't have children. And in that time, this wasn't just a personal sorrow, it was also a public shame, almost like a curse. Elkanah had another wife, Peninnah, who had children and made sure to humiliate Hannah constantly. During their visits to the tabernacle in Shiloh, moments that were supposed to be full of worship, Hannah faced humiliation and pain. But even in the face of mockery and disappointment, Hannah didn't let bitterness take root in her heart. Her pain didn't push her away from God, it drew her closer. During one of those trips to the tabernacle, Hannah made a bold decision. With her soul laid bare, she cried out to God and made a vow: if he gave her a son, she would dedicate him completely to the Lord. Her prayer was so intense that Eli, the priest, thought she was drunk. But after Hannah explained her anguish, Eli spoke a word of blessing over her: "Go in peace, and may the God of Israel grant you what you have asked of him." Even though she wasn't yet pregnant, Hannah left with a renewed heart. Her faith wasn't based on immediate results, but on the trust that God had heard her, and God had. In due time, Hannah conceived and gave birth to a son. She named him Samuel, which means heard by God, and true to her vow, when the child was weaned, probably around the age of 3, Hannah took him back to the tabernacle and presented him to Eli, dedicating him to the Lord. What many people overlook is the weight of what Hannah did. She didn't just ask for a child, she gave him back. The son she had longed for, prayed for, wept over, she now handed over to the service of God. This wasn't symbolic. Samuel would grow up away from her, under Eli's care. For most mothers, the thought of such separation would be unbearable. But Hannah's faith was so deep that she trusted God completely with her son's future, and God honored her faith. He blessed her with 5 more children, 3 sons and 2 daughters. That's what happens when we surrender what we treasure most to the Lord. He multiplies it beyond what we imagine. But Hannah's story isn't just about motherhood. Samuel would grow up to become one of Israel's greatest prophets. He anointed Saul as the nation's first king, and later David, the man after God's own heart, and from David's lineage would come Jesus, the promised Messiah. In other words, Hannah's faith shaped the course of Israel's history. We also can't overlook the powerful song of praise Hannah lifted to God after dedicating Samuel. It's one of the most profound expressions of faith in the Bible. Her song exalts God's justice, his power to reverse human circumstances, and his sovereignty over all creation. Her words are so powerful, they later echo in the Song of Mary, the mother of Jesus. Hannah's story is more than a miracle, it's a lesson in faith, persistence, and surrender. She teaches us that God doesn't ignore the cries of a broken heart. That we can trust him, even when nothing seems to be going right. That it's worth praying, even when we don't yet see the answer. If you're walking through pain right now, whether it's unfulfilled dreams, infertility, or unanswered prayers, remember Hannah. Remember that God still turns barrenness into fruitfulness, pain into purpose, and tears into praise. And if the story touched you, if it rekindled your hope, don't leave without subscribing to the channel. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss the next powerful story from the Bible that shows how God still moves, still speaks, and still answers. And share this video with someone who needs to hear that God is still in the business of turning